Merchant accounts. This is something that's come up a couple times, and a merchant account is simply a way for you to be able to offer your customers the ability to, pay with their credit cards or pay through PayPal and things like that. There are several sort of industry standard gateways out there. Authorize.net, PayPal has one, and there are several others. What we're going to teach in the course is the easiest way, and the easiest way is to get a PayPal account. And the new way that they have PayPal merchant accounts is that you actually can accept credit cards on your site and accept PayPal, obviously. But they're two separate things, and when you accept credit cards on your site, it never actually goes out to PayPal. So it doesn't look like you're sort of, not a professional store that needs to use PayPal or anything like that. So even with credit card payment, when you're using a PayPal as the gateway, it's all contained on your e-commerce site. And then, of course, they do have the option to pay with PayPal, which does send them out to the PayPal site. So, it's the easiest solution. Nobody has to get any hassles trying to get a merchant account and things like that. Having said that, there's folks that have issues with PayPal, and so the e-commerce software that we have gives you the ability to link into pretty much any gateway that you'll come across, and these are international gateways. So shouldn't be a problem. We use it with probably 3 different gateways, and the only reason behind that is just because we had already had merchant accounts, and PayPal wasn't always the best thing to use because sometimes you couldn't insulate your customer from going to the PayPal site, but now you can. It's great. It's easy to use. So for those of you who already have a merchant account, we got you covered. For those of you who don't and can use PayPal, no worries. That's the easiest thing. Sign up for PayPal, integrates in the site. And for those of you who don't have one, can't use PayPal, there are other options that we'll discuss with you. This question's come up also regarding suppliers and what our role in that transaction is. I guess there are other products or systems out there in the past that have essentially been a middleman between suppliers and getting people to do their own e-commerce sites, and then they take like a piece of the action, kickback, whatever you want to call it. That's not what we're doing here. We are not in between, in the middle of your e-commerce site and the supplier. Our role is simply to teach you how to do all these things, get your site up and running, and introduce you to these suppliers so that you have your own relationship with them. That's obviously the best thing because you own that relationship, and it becomes an asset of your business that you could sell if you like. And plus, obviously, you're not getting cut out of some of the profits. So I just want to assure everybody that that's not the case. We have no relationship with these suppliers other than, introducing you to them, helping you get them all set up, and we do ask, we ask them to regularly keep their information up to date in our database. Also on suppliers, obviously one of the biggest questions is, what if I can't find one? And I did talk a little bit about this in previous videos. We fully expect, we have thousands of suppliers, but frankly, I'd be shocked if, you guys didn't come up with some sort of niche that we didn't have a supplier for. That's okay, because we've got 2 other things. One is we're going to teach you how to find your own supplier should you want to go outside our list. It's no problem. We'll give you some great secrets and tips, and that'll make it easy. And then obviously we have our secret weapon, and that's Dave. He'll always have support available when you're looking for suppliers, since this is obviously one of the most important things, where you can reach our supplier expert, and that's Dave, and he will be there to help you. Competition. I think a lot of people are concerned that all of a sudden, we're going to have a lot of people going after the same niches, using this process and things like that. But I think that that's just crazy, actually. And here's why. First of all, the number of niches that people could possibly get into is absolutely limitless, right? And we're talking about all over the world here. So the train horn niche in the United States is one. The train horn niche in Australia is a whole nother area. And oh, by the way, it's not just the niche, it's the keyword phrase, right? So for train horns, we got into train horns, but maybe someone else wants to optimize for air horns or something like that. So it's when you look at all these different permutations of niches, keyword phrases, countries, it's it's limitless. So I think if you're worried about competition as it relates to getting involved with Niche Blueprint, you probably shouldn't get into any business at all, because there's always going to be some kind of competition. But I really think that that's just not something that you need to worry about. Okay, so what if you're outside the United States, right? All right, well, here's the way we've been, thinking about this for a long time, because we knew the question was going to come up, and also, we deal with a lot of folks who are outside the U.S. So here's the deal. First thing we have to just talk about, well, what even is the concern? And we can put absolutely everything off the table as far as a concern, except for suppliers. And we'll talk about that in a second. Because the e-commerce platform is perfectly capable of working internationally. It supports multiple languages, it supports multiple currencies, multiple tax situations if you need to do business in the EU, and you have to worry about VAT and all that kind of good stuff. So all of that's off the table. And so then it comes down to people who have questions about suppliers. What if I'm outside the United States and your suppliers are US based? So two things. Two scenarios. One is you might be outside the U.S. but looking to have a relationship with a U.S.-based supplier because you want to market to the U.S. market and do business in the U.S. In that case, we simply need to work with you and work with that supplier just to get them to approve an outside the United States person that they want to deal with. And this is hardly ever an issue. Most of them want to sell products, and as long as you can sort of portray yourself as a professional person and represent yourself in that manner, there's really no downside for them, no risk involved for them to do business with you. And we have all sorts of tips and email templates and things like that, just to make sure that you come off as a professional person when you reach out to them. And of course, we always have our secret weapon, Dave, who can step in if you're having a problem getting quote unquote approved by these suppliers, who has a lot of experience internationally with working with suppliers. Second scenario is you're outside the U.S. and you want to work with a vendor who's outside the U.S. because you want to market, say, in your home country. Well, again, two things there. One, we are expanding our database specifically for UK, Australia, and Singapore. Those are the three markets that we are aggressively going after to expand our database, make it even bigger. And so you'll have an opportunity to have products at least from those three areas of the world. And then the second thing is that we always have the help from the training materials, which show you how to find suppliers, even if there aren't any in the database. And because, as I said, you're always going to come across that. And no matter how many suppliers we have, someone's always going to think of a new market, and I certainly hope they do, where we don't have a supplier. So you have to have the process and the tricks to be able to find a supplier outside of a database. And then again, we always have Dave, who, and just to beat this dead horse, is available to help find suppliers and is an expert in this field. Other costs. It's been a major goal since we started thinking about Niche Blueprint to try desperately to make sure this was a one-time payment and you guys weren't surprised with any other costs. We think we've gotten as close as anybody could. You won't find any upsells after you buy Niche Blueprint. There's no one-time offers. There's no monthly subscription offer fees, anything like that, right? So when you do a new e-commerce site, the only cost that you're going to incur is to get a domain and an SSL certificate. Don't worry if you don't know what that is. But you're talking about a $50 fee or something like that. And these are and it's an asset you then own, right? You own that domain, and so we tried really, really, really hard to give you absolutely everything you need and not to surprise you. And then, of course, the big thing is that this whole course is designed around getting free traffic so that you don't have to pay for traffic with AdWords unless and until you want to later on as your store becomes profitable. So I think we've done an excellent job of making sure that you're not surprised with other costs. Support. This has people ask this all the time, and I've tried to, I've addressed this in other videos, but I just want to say, we've got the industry's best support, I think. We work silly hours, frankly, to make sure that we personally, there will be 4 or 5 of us that will be the only ones answering support requests, and obviously, so when the hotline for supplier issues, most of those are going to go to Dave. We'll try and help him out, maybe, so we are there. We are there all the time. We've got a pretty sophisticated help desk and support system that we've invested in just for Niche Blueprint, brand new for our company. And we're very pleased with it. It's really easy to use, and the whole idea is just to make sure that you guys get all the hand-holding and all the support that you need. So do you have to negotiate with these suppliers? No, I wouldn't say that you have to negotiate with them. Again, I spoke earlier in this video about the fact that we're not in the middle, and we'll give you templates and ways to sort of frame yourself when you reach out and contact these suppliers, so that you're professional and you come off with the right sort of appearance. So we'll help you with that. It's not something that you should be worried about. And then you always have the secret ace in the hole, and that is, if you have trouble, you call us, and we'll help you out. So how much time does this take? I mean, it depends on how many sites you start at once, but this is perfectly easy to do when you're already working full-time, particularly if you just start out with 1 or 2 sites. You're talking about maybe spending 3 or 4 hours a week in the beginning to do the things that you need to do to start to get your traffic, and then an order or 2 a day takes you no time to process, and by the time if you start to get more orders per day, you're probably not going to be complaining about the time that it takes. But it's something that is absolutely reasonable to think that you could spend work full time and try to do this. It's not a problem. And then of course you always have the opportunity, as I've spoken about in other videos, to outsource. I mean, if you get 3 or 4 profitable stores going, for $600–700 a month, you can outsource, and we show you this in the course. You can outsource to someone who is more than capable of probably doing about 90–95% of the work, and you can sit back and make money while you're doing other things. I've had some questions about whether or not a Mac is okay to have. I'm a Mac user. I'm a Mac guy. So yes, without a doubt. In fact, I made Mike and Dave go out and buy Macs. So it's perfectly okay if you're a Mac user, for sure. There's been a lot of talk and discussion about whether the domains are and these sites belong to you or us or what. And I just want to make really clear, these are your businesses. They're not hosted with us. We don't have like one big domain and then everybody's underneath that domain like some other products out there. It's your domain, it's your business. You own all the software, everything that's on the domain, and in that way it's your asset. You get to decide what to do with it, and if you ever want to, you can sell it without having any worry about any kind of ongoing relationship with our company. It's completely up to you. So everybody wants to know, how long before I can make money. Obviously, it's hard to answer that question, but it's not unreasonable, okay, to think that the first full month that your site is up and running, that you're going to make sales. I mean, and any sale you make is pretty much profit because there really isn't any expenses that go along with the sales since you're not paying for traffic. So I really feel very strongly that it is absolutely reasonable that the first full month that your site is live and and getting some traffic, that you're going to make some sales. Well, we've come to the end. This is the last video, the fourth video in the series. It's the last video in our pre-launch series, and I just want to say thank you so much, especially all of you who suffered through all 4 videos. Thanks, just for your attention and for giving us an opportunity for us to tell you about Niche Blueprint. Just need to tell you that, we go live on Monday. I can't wait. I'm done with doing pre-launch stuff. I want to get into it. I want to start helping everybody build their e-commerce site. So we launch on Monday. There's going to be limited spots, so I want to make sure that you get a chance to get inside and to work with us. So head on over there and get your spot, and I'll look to see you on the other side. Thanks again.